Oh, it's been so long. So let's jump right on in. I don't want to prolong this. Wait, that's wrong. Load game. Resume. There we go. Okay, so 2 weeks ago when we last played, I was completely incapable of finding the love interest that we're supposed to find. So I think we need to meet the Ashcrofts, who I was trying to avoid because I didn't want to go through that again. But I think we have to do it. So let's just go ahead, let's just jump right in, okay? Let's just jump right in. So in this game, we are trying to pursue Mr. Graham, who is the really cute, funny, charming, regiment guy? I don't know what to call him. And he's really great. And I'm just gonna skip through this because we've already done this in our playthrough. Alright. This is not important to our story. So, yeah, so I am just gonna, like, go kind of through some of this stuff that we've already done, because who needs that? And also, it's easier on my voice, because I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I've been sick for 2 weeks. Turns out I've got tonsillitis, my bad. Third time. I have had it 3 times now, and the doctor said, if this keeps happening, we're gonna have to take those out. And, I'm closer to 30 than not, so apparently it's kind of a big deal to take your tonsils out as an adult. So, I don't know, man. We will see what happens. Okay. I've got work to do. Oh my goodness, look, things have opened up. Yes, that's what I needed. Oh, if only I'd done that last week. Okay, here we go, you guys. Let's get some points, though. Alright. The Earlwood Spring Ball. The Earlwoods are holding their annual spring ball and have invited most of Darlington. The evening promises to be an eventful affair. Denniston House. My dear Miss Sharp, you look lovely this evening. I hope you will allow me to introduce Mr. James Graham. There's our guy! It took us long enough. Miss Sharp, I'm delighted to make your acquaintance. I have known Mr. Graham since he was a boy. His aunt is a good friend of Mrs. Earlwood's, you see, and I've spent years trying to convince him to return to the country, though his duty with the regiment has always kept him away. And yet I am finally here. I was most pleased to discover you still have a penchant for holding these balls. I've missed them so, Mr. Earlwood. I'm glad to hear it. Now, I do hope you've grown out of your mischief. I still recall the day you spent an afternoon by the pond and returned with your boots and breeches full of mud. Your aunt was simply livid. On the contrary, I believe I was exceptionally well behaved for a boy of 8. Indeed, though I do believe Miss Sharp may find our recollections tedious. I shan't keep you all to myself, Mr. Graham. Miss Sharp? Oh boy, this place is full. Who is that? Miss Woods? I don't know who you are. Okay. Hello, I don't want to talk to those two. Mr. Dopey and Mrs. Snoopy. Not Snoopy Susie. Gentlemen? Elizabeth, I have been waiting forever for you to arrive. Oh no. Oh goodness. I sense Mr. Digby is trailing us again. We best occupy ourselves quickly. That should not be a difficult task, for I have a delightful set of new acquaintances to introduce you to. Oh, really? Miss Sharp, it is truly a pleasure to meet you at last. See, there's all kinds of stuff going on in here, and I can't talk very well. I'm sorry. I believe the pleasure is entirely mine, Mr. Graham. I dare say I am the more fortunate of us to have the privilege of being in the presence of such a handsome gentleman as yourself. Whoa! Bold. I have heard so much about you from Mr. Earlwood, I feel as if we have been acquainted for longer than this. Oh, that's sweet. And I've heard absolutely nothing about you, Mr. Graham. I believe today is the first I've known of your very existence. No, we ran into him. Oh dear, I'm not sure if I would like to know what Mr. Earlwood has said about me without my knowledge. He has such a propensity to exaggerate. On the contrary, Mr. Earlwood has been sparse with his praise. If I had known how delightful your company is in person, I would have sought your acquaintance earlier. And so you should have, Mr. Graham. I'm rather disappointed you did not ride to Fort Darlington upon first hearing my name. It's a joke with him. Alas, I dearly hope your impression of me shan't suffer from such a terrible mistake on my part. I must admit it is refreshing to be among such refined company once more. As much as I enjoy being surrounded by my fellow officers, I also find great appeal in more polite society. Is that so? Does life in the regiment differ much from this? That may be because you're wonderful company yourself, though I do wonder whether you adopt a similar demeanor with the other ladies. Not just the ladies, but also the gentlemen. Life as an officer is never dull. The regiment is quite an interesting place, with a fascinating assortment of men. We're expected to work hard, but there is also room to recover after every training session. Must be very exciting indeed. I do wish I could experience it for myself, if just the once. I suppose with your disposition you hardly spend any time working? Oh my gosh, no. That sounds exceedingly difficult. I dare say I would never survive as an officer. With your enthusiasm, the army should ask you to speak during recruitment season. It has been quite an education conversing with you tonight, but I must take my leave now. I wish you a lovely evening. We must repeat this exercise again another time. Yes, let's meet again. Awesome. So at least we found him. Here we go. Oh no, not these people. Bye. Oh no, we feel a little lightheaded. Whoops. Oh, this is Lord Fat Cat. Yes. Alright. I definitely remember doing this in the last game. Sweet kitty. Okay. So, let's find... Yeah. Let's find him again. But first, let's go see Lord Fat Cat. Okay. Give me all the points. Oh no. Are you speaking nonsense again, Mr. Digby? Oh my gosh. I hope I'm not getting that impression, Miss Sharp. The clouds are in perfect alignment, and I suspected they were announcing your presence. My gosh. It's the most preposterous thing I've heard all week. Perhaps you consult a physician. I have been feeling a little fatigued lately. Thank you for your concern, Miss Sharp. Oh my gosh, I have other business. Leave me alone. Lordy. Oh, it's this again. It's been coming on so gradually I hardly know when it began, but I believe I must date it from my first seeing his beautiful grounds at Pemberley. We are talking about the Hermit in the Woods. Okay. Wow, it goes a lot faster when I don't have to read every single thing because I've already read most of it. So, awesome, awesome, awesome. Do hermits eat cats? What? Oh, it's this again. Okay, no. Whee! Bye! Oops, I missed points. Oh well. Okay, here we go. Town ball. There is to be a country dance in the Darlington assembly rooms to which both old and new acquaintances have been invited. Let's go. Miss Sharp, if you have space left on your dance card, may I pencil in my name? Yes, you can. Yes, you may indeed, Graham. All right. When it is Mr. Graham's turn to dance with you, he proves to be a courteous and considerate partner who patiently waits for you to join him in the line dance. The musicians begin to play, and Mr. Graham goes through the steps with great ease. I dare say I am glad to be dancing again. It is one pleasure I have missed while on active duty. I had always imagined half the regiment in dresses and playing the lady's role. Oh my word. Do soldiers not hold evening entertainment of any sort? Alas, they do, but it is confined to brandy and pipes. I have no great proclivity for either. But you are looking quite pensive, Miss Sharp. I hope you're not thinking of anything too sinister. She's thinking of sinister things. But I very well might be. You should perhaps proceed with caution, Mr. Graham. Understood, Miss Sharp. No, wait. A pinch of armor, a dash of swords, and always taking tea at 5 sharp. A rather adventurous existence. Do you ever miss home? Sometimes, but I believe my notion of home is quite different from yours, Miss Sharp. Come, let us enjoy the dance and speak no more for now. The dance soon comes to an end, and it seems to have finished all too quickly. It was an absolute pleasure dancing with you, Miss Sharp. We must do so again some other time. Your pleasure was all mine. You're quite a fair dancer. Only fair? Why then, Miss Sharp, I shall strive to elevate myself in your eyes in the future. Okay, so where else can we find him? You and Mary have barely oh my gosh, my voice is so bad today. You and Mary have barely left Mr. Stevens' bakery when Mrs. Norris approaches you both. No! Here we go. But I gotta prepare. Miss Earlwood! Miss Sharp! How lovely you both look today! And just as well, for I have been searching for you all day. You're ever so kind, Mrs. Norris, to be perpetually seeking us. Elizabeth and I are most honored. I detect some cheek in your voice, my dear, but I will let it slide today, for there is something I quite wish to discuss with you. Oh, do not look so glum, Miss Sharp. My words are more addressed at Miss Earlwood, though it would do you no harm to pay attention as well, to save my breath from repeating it twice. As you all know, I am a woman of great concision. How fortunate I am to be receiving your attention, Mrs. Norris. Yes, of course. Now, Miss Earlwood, I do not mean to pry, but you have been rather friendly with the men for the regiment, and am I not mistaken? I would never think of you as the prying sort, Mrs. Norris, and indeed I would like to think that my friendship extends to many people, yourself included. Such a charming such a charming young lady you are. But I do hope you know what I am trying to say, Miss Earlwood, for I do not wish to be rude. It must be both so difficult and so easy to be a young unmarried lady in these times. You need not worry, for I am not inclined to marry anytime soon, least of all to a military man. Your concern, of course, is much appreciated. Ah, good. That is all I wish to know. Yes, very good indeed. I shall leave you two ladies to your way then. I'm sure there is much you wish to talk about outside my prying ears. Let's hope that's the last we'll see of her for a while yet. Her concern is quite touching, really. Yes, but also extremely vexing. Let's carry on now, Elizabeth. Oops. No, don't stop the recording. Yikes. You will not ask me what is the point of blank. You are determined, I see, to have no curiosity. You are wise, but I cannot be wise. Emma, I must tell you what you will not ask, though I may wish it unsaid the next moment. I don't remember what this word is. Envy. There you go. Alright. I got a lot of points from that. Okay. Dining at Denniston. Denniston? You have been invited to dine with the Earlwoods. Ah, Miss Sharp, I am pleased to see you have decided to join us this evening. As I am pleased by your presence, Mr. Graham. Mr. Earlwood can be rather insistent with his invitations, and refusing is simply not an option. Miss Earlwood certainly inherited his enthusiasm. Oh my gosh, no, that's so mean. I dare say it is really refreshing to have such a delightful change of scenery and to be so far away from the regiment. I am very glad to hear it. You have delighted us all with your company, Mr. Graham. Oh my gosh. It is so... There are so many ways to insult this man. Are you referring to the fine clothes, the finer company, or the food, finest of them all? All the aforementioned. I do find my attention sometimes wanders to the exquisite dresses and adornments worn by the ladies and gentlemen alike. The craftsmanship of the livery in my possession is neither so delicate nor so precise. It is not so much about the craftsmanship, but the person who wears it. I do suppose you are unfamiliar with such fine things. Oh my gosh. On the contrary, I find myself quite taken with your uniform. Such a beautiful shade of red really does complement the sandy shade of your hair. Oh, that's so sweet. Alas, I had been searching for a way to compliment you, but it appears you have beaten me to it. It appears that you have renewed my appreciation for these marvelous garments. I believe it best to excuse myself now, lest I bore you with such talk. Let's speak more later. Give me some points. Loss of blank in a female is irretrievable. That one false step involves her in endless ruin, that her reputation is no less brittle than it is beautiful, and that she cannot be too much guarded in her behavior towards the undeserving of the other sex. What is this word? You were speaking to Mary about the stray kittens Lettuce found... Lettice. Right? Lettice. Found last week when you were approached by Mr. Graham and an older gentleman wearing the distinct red uniform. Miss Earlwood, Miss Sharp, I hope I am not interrupting. You are not, Mr. Graham, to the gentleman. Goodness me, is that you, Colonel Watson? You look just as I remembered. Ah, dear Miss Earlwood, you are being far too kind. I believe the last time we met you were but a little girl, and Miss Hannah still in the cradle. Perhaps you are right, but you have not aged a day. Whereas you have become such a beautiful young lady. Your father tries to hide it, but he is certainly very proud of you. But goodness me, how I have forgotten my manners. Might you introduce me to your companion? Yes, of course, Colonel Watson. This is my oldest and closest friend, Elizabeth Sharp. Okay, lovely to meet you. Miss Sharp, you are Christopher Sharp's daughter? I am indeed. Did you know my father? Yes, though not very well. Christopher Sharp and I have hunted together once or twice, and he was most pleasant company. I am very sorry about his loss, Miss Sharp. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Colonel Watson. He was a good man and a good father. It has been more than a year since his passing, but Mama and I both miss him so. And I see you have both been acquainted with Mr. Graham. Yes, indeed. Papa invited him to our annual spring ball, at which we sorely missed your presence, Colonel Watson. I am sorry to have missed it. Alas, there had been some business required attending before I could properly return to Darlington. Will you be here for long? A few months, though I'm sure the time will pass quickly. I have taken up residence in Birkenbridge once more, and it feels very much like home. That's because Birkenbridge is your home. I have walked past it several times over the years, lamenting at its unoccupied state. Well, the master has indeed returned, and he will be quite happy to make use of the house in its entirety. Oh, that would be lovely. If memory serves, Birkenbridge has some of the most beautiful gardens I have ever encountered. Ah, then I must speak to my gardener to ensure that the standards are met. It would not do to disappoint Miss Earlwood. Miss Sharp, you are also more than welcome at Birkenbridge. Oh, thank you, Colonel Watson. You are most kind. That would be lovely. I confess I'd very much like to see your gardens. Yeah, let's do that. It would be jolly good for Birkenbridge to liven up once more. Mr. Graham and some of the older soldiers are taking residence there, and they're certainly doing a marvelous job so far. The Colonel pauses for a moment as if something has caught his attention. Please, do forgive me, but I think I recognize... After another pause, yes, I believe that is Mrs. Sharp, speaking with Mrs. Earlwood at present. Maybe you don't mind if I go and say hello. It has been many years. Of course, Mamma would be delighted to be reunited with an old acquaintance, yes. Yeah, go speak with Mamma. She is quite fond of making new friends, or in this case, a new old friend of sorts. The Colonel bows to you all before taking his leave. You and Mary return to your conversation while Mr. Graham politely listens to all the tales of Lettice and the kittens. Not to keep a link, how are your absent cousins to understand the tenure of your life in Bath without one? What am I missing? Oh, R. Doing good. Oh, look! We can go take tea at Birkenbridge now! Colonel Watson has invited you and Mama to take afternoon tea at Birkenbridge. Yes. Upon your arrival. I sound like Liam because my voice is so terrible. He can't do his R's. They're all W's. So it sounds like he'll say run, run. He goes 1-1. Or he said, you ask him what a lion says, and he says war. It's really cute. Anyway, my voice is not doing this right stuff. So, upon arriving at Birkenbridge, you are greeted by Colonel Watson himself, who seems to be quite delighted with his guests. Mrs. Sharp, do allow me to welcome you both to Birkenbridge. Yeah. Thank you, Colonel Watson. You have certainly made good of your promise to become a dedicated host. I aim to please Mrs. Sharp, but I do not think you have met these gentlemen yet. Please allow me to introduce Mr. Graham and Mr. Hammond, who are residing with me for the duration of their stay in Darlington. Mrs. Sharp, it is lovely to make your acquaintance. Mrs. Sharp. Oh, he's so cute. Look at him. He's got hair that goes like... He's so cute. Once Mama has been introduced to the gentleman, Colonel Watson leads your party to the gardens where you are all to take tea. That sounds like a phenomenal, fabulous time. The gardens are rather beautiful, as Mary had suggested, though it still contains the slightest hint of neglect, a quality the Colonel will surely rectify soon. As tea is being served, Colonel Watson, Mr. Hammond, and Mama engage in their own conversation about growing up in Darlington, resulting in the accidental exclusion of Mr. Graham. However, Mr. Graham does not seem to mind, and strikes up his own conversation with just you. I have quite missed enjoying the company of others over afternoon tea. I was under the impression that you took tea regularly, even while on active duty. That is the happiest hours of the day. Hold on. Warm, fragrant tea accompanied by cakes and scones, or is it the other way around? I dare say I do not think much of it. No. Let's joke with him. Yes, but it was more for sustenance of the body than for the nourishing of the soul. Forgive me if I appear to pry, but I was wondering if you have been involved in any personal endeavors lately. All the ladies here are so very talented. I've been practicing my needlework, for Mama has always frowned upon my sloppy stitches, and I'm trying to correct them. That is splendid! I have noticed that so many ladies, present company included, of course, have such exquisite taste and skill in a fine art such as embroidery, that they can create images of such vivacity with a needle and thread that is simply extraordinary. think of needlework as a practicality. You must exclude your present company. I believe I've just very succinctly summed up all the beauty and appeal of needlework in a few short sentences. What you have said aptly describes my own passion for the craft. That is most wonderful. I hope I am not being too forward. Perhaps you could share some of your work with me one day? It would be my pleasure, Mr. Graham. I am keen to hear your opinion on my work, though you must promise to be impartial. I will do my best, though I cannot promise I will succeed. But for now, shall we avail ourselves to another scone? Mr. Graham consumes his scone with a great deal of pleasure, a detail that is noticed by Colonel Watson. The conversation soon turns to Mr. Graham's boyish nature when it comes to tea and cakes, and the air is soon filled with laughter. What a cutie. Oh, here we go. Walk into town. You take your usual route into town. You are on your way to town when you encounter Mr. Graham. Miss Sharp, what a pleasant surprise. What? Hold on. Is she joking or being serious? My, Mr. Graham, this is too much of a coincidence. Have you been following my movements? In the name of women preyed upon by handsome and charming soldiers, I demand a confession. What was the third one? I confess, oh please, gracious lady, do not report me to the authorities. Oh my word. As you seem quite repentant, I shall show mercy upon this occasion. Thank you, most kind and benevolent defender of all women, young and old. Mr. Graham cannot help but break into a smile, after which the atmosphere lightens into one of easy companionship. Do you frequent these woods much? Do you often walk to Meryton? Every now and then. I do. I've always enjoyed taking walks when I have the opportunity. Ah, yes, reveling in the wonders of nature. Are you heading into town? Yes. Would you like to join me? Let's go. I would indeed. Yes. You settle into a comfortable pace that suits you both before Mr. Graham speaks again. Miss Sharp, if I may. Hold on. Mr. Graham, if I may stop talking to you because I have tonsillitis. Miss Sharp, if I may, I was wondering if I could hear your thoughts on the war. It is a matter close to my heart, and I wish to know what you think. You don't want to know my opinion because I actually have a bit of a history crush on Napoleon, so... To be frank, Mr. Graham, I do not think you will like what I have to say. Literally, what I just said. Of course, I was very little when the French Revolution took place, but I remember Papa's grimace for months afterwards. I'm very grateful for men like you who are keeping our country safe. I must admit I'm not particularly concerned now. And it is for ladies such as yourself that we continue our work. Thank you for indulging my curiosity, though I see now the subject is a little dour for our walk. Let us put such thoughts behind us. Well, what happens if I say this? All the more reason to speak. I'm not asking for you to pander, Miss Sharp, but for your honesty, as I value your opinion most highly. Very well. I cannot ally myself with Napoleon, for he is adamant on destroying our livelihoods, but I find myself aligned with what originally propelled him. Wow. If I must, in short, Mr. Graham, I consider myself to be quite a radical. I wish to advocate equality for our entire country across all classes and genders. Yeah! That is a very interesting take on the matter. I greatly appreciate your honesty, Miss Sharp. Awesome. When you've reached town, you and Mr. Graham say goodbye and go about your separate ways. Wow, I hope he respects me for having big opinions. Alright, so since I am sort of sick still today, I'm actually going to stop here at half an hour instead of an hour, just because like my voice isn't the greatest and I don't want to hurt it. And also, at the time of recording this, it is Wednesday afternoon, and I'm going to be streaming tonight. So, I need to make sure that I have an actual voice tonight. So, that is all for today. And when we go back to Darlington next week, we are going to get to know Mr. Graham so much better now that we finally found him. And now it seems like he's everywhere, which I love. So, yeah, what do you guys think so far of Mr. Graham? I hope you like him. I really like him. I think that he is so sweet and so cute and so charming. So, yeah, I will see you guys next week, and I hope you all have a wonderful day, and thank you for joining me. Goodbye.